The Overlook, thank you for the 10. Very generous. Why do people still question Rockstar trailers? They literally have a studio of 1,600 people in India just doing basically animations and assets. That's 5 times the Naughty Dog studio. Actually insane. I mean, they have thousands of employees across the globe working on that stuff. And they work their asses off. There was a snippet from KIWI Talks. So if you don't know, KIWI Talks is a YouTuber, but does a lot of interviews specifically with game developers from across the industry. Genuinely fascinating, and it gives you a chance to hear about people or hear directly from people who have like worked right next to Todd, or people that have worked on GTA 6 and Red Dead 2, like this guy. And so it gives you a really cool look at it. You should go sub to KIWI Talks, listen to the full interviews. They're fascinating. But this is a little compilation he cut together of some of the people that worked on GTA 6. And I think he mentions some of that stuff about the trailer.
And I know I'm in a very fortunate position that, you know, I know a lot of stuff that's in there, and it's really exciting, and I can't wait to see it, you know, and I can't wait for the next trailer too, and just all that stuff that I had no idea about, you know, the characterization, and seeing that city all fleshed out so much more than when I'd last sort of wanted it, you know. It's obviously, you know, it's when you're making a trailer, you know, it's funny, it's like, you know, they look at where the camera's going to be, and everywhere in that view is getting madly polished, whereas everything that's not in that view is not getting madly polished yet. So, you know, the whole world doesn't look like that. You know, you focus on the areas of the trailer, and that's like, you know, the projection of what the entire full game is going to be like, which is why you get differences in trailers in the final game, because, you know, you can't view that as, right, that's locked down now, and that's how the final game is. And that tree will be there when it releases. You know, you can't look at it like that, because you're asking a company to show you the final game in a trailer when it's not finished. You know, so it's unreasonable to pick at differences from a trailer to the final product, like so many people do, like with GTA 5 and RDR2, and they do comparisons and all that sort of stuff. And it's like, relax, dude, relax. It's a trailer. It's not.
I just love the idea of telling some of those Twitter accounts, relax, chill out. Like, for real.
Finished. But this is, you know, this is a polished sort of in progress version. Like, for instance, like GTA 6, you know, people are like, do you know the story? And, you know, what's the deal with Jason and Lucia, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I have no idea, dude. I don't know. Because, you know, I worked on it for like, you know, like 5 years, but I have no idea about the storyline, other than that, like, I knew it had like two characters.
Isn't that fascinating? Like, GTA or Rockstar is such a massive studio with so many people, and everything is so clearly compartmentalized for the sake of leaks and protecting the data and like industry secrets, that you will have somebody that works on a game or works at a studio for 5 years and they have no idea about the story other than there's 2 characters, which kind of makes sense. Like, if you're working on the traffic system, you know, like the traffic system in GTA 6, I have no doubt it's like a full team of like 15 people, and all they do is the programming and management of the traffic system for NPCs, for the like actual traffic lights and how all of that stuff works. Those people don't know anything about the story. They probably have no idea about the multiplayer or any of that. That's why people are like, how is it that the time and the date for trailer number 3 still hasn't leaked? Why would any of those people know that? Like, I really think that the trailer number 3 probably is like, there's the video editor / capture person who goes and captures the footage for it. They collect all the footage, they cut it into a trailer, they handed that thumb drive with 1 copy of the trailer on it to the head of Rockstar North, and then he brought it to Strauss Zelnick, and Strauss carries it around in his breast pocket in his suit jacket. And when he feels like it one day, he's going to upload it. Like, I think that they just don't. It's all so compartmentalized that, yeah, you'll have one person over here that's just doing their job that doesn't know. This is an environmental artist, by the way. So he's building out the sets, building the city. He's doing stuff like that. He doesn't know anything about the story, about the individual gameplay mechanics or the driving system or any of that stuff. That's not his job. Why would he know that stuff? When you have a smaller team of like 100 people, like if you remember, there was those interviews we watched on like the making of Skyrim, for example, and it's like 110 people that made Skyrim across the whole thing, including like the I think lady at the front desk, you know, it's like 110 people, and they all were doing tons of stuff. So you had like programmers that were also quest designers that were also writing the quests, and they would just kind of do everything. And so you talk to any one of those studio members, they probably could tell you about the story, about mission design, about all these different things. But when you get to the point where you have like 5,000 to 6,000 employees across the globe, it doesn't work like that.
And that was the extent of my knowledge. So, you know, I'm like, are you sure you worked on that game?
Yeah.
But yeah, I just did terrain, man, you know.
And I suppose with even with GTA 6, you worked on stuff, but because of the iterative process of environmental art, well after you left, somebody could have come in and gone over the top of your art. Right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I'm sure they have done as well. Yeah. I'm hoping not too much.
Some of it's still there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the things I'll be like really keen to sort of see, you know, what's left, you know, or how has it been worked upon and how has it formed the foundation, you know, because that's good enough for me. If it's as long as it's not the whole area has been like scrapped or something, you know, that would be disappointing. But I doubt that. Yeah, it will. Yeah, it's iterative. So someone will undoubtedly, because you know it's. Even if it's just veg passes, you know, but you know, they're always improving the tech as you go along throughout the project. So when you start at the beginning, like the tools and tech you're working with are not as feature rich as when you finish, you know, and that was the same on GTA 5 and RDR2. You know, so like in GTA 5, we had no height-based blending. No POM shaders, parallax shaders and stuff. But right at the end, I was doing R&D on height maps for the parallax shaders and stuff. So, you know, new features come on. And I know we added POM shaders for the PC release, as I recall, which was always after initial release, you know.
Yeah.
And same with RDR2, you know, we had much better blending techniques toward the end of it than when we started working on it, you know.
Well, I'm sure that's just part of it, is that you build it out and you're like, this feels great with the tools you have. And then they give you new tools and you're like, oh, I can make this so much better. I can make this so much better. I can do this.
And the same will be definitely true of GTA 6, you know. The tech will have come along massively, even since the 2 years I have been away there, you know. So yeah, it will have changed, but I'm hoping it will have retained the essence and the foundation that I laid.
Well, even so, I mean, you still get to go in like I would as a fan and pretty much knowing as much as we do, even though you worked on it, which is the cool thing, right?
Yeah, that is brilliant, because I feel like I'm getting like having the cake and eating it. Yeah, because I mean,
how weird must that be? Like, he worked on it for years and years and years. He said 5 years, so I'm guessing 20, because he said he left 2 years ago. So 2019 to 2024. So he works on a game for 5 years. And he probably could have continued working all the way through launch. And when it launches, he still has never encountered the story. He still has never encountered any of those characters. Like, it's totally fresh for him. That's got to be so bizarre. That's got to be so fascinating, though, because you worked on something for so long, but you haven't seen 95% of it because you've been so focused on that one section. It'd be like working on a skyscraper and you're just the guy that did the windows on the 32nd floor, but then it launches and opens and then you get to experience the whole building. You know, it's really, really cool. Are they still remote? No. So Rockstar, I forget the exact day or year rather. Rockstar back in office. They 2 years ago, it says. So maybe that was part of the reason that he left. February of 2024, Rockstar tells employees to get back in the office full time, partly to stop GTA 6 leaks. This was like a hot story 2 years ago, was that they were forcing devs to go back to the studio full time. This is one of those things. So an email from Rockstar head of publishing, Jen Colby, maybe, that was seen by Bloomberg, notes that the RTO mandate is for productivity reasons. That's the contentious answer most companies give, but Colby also adds that security is another important factor. Back in September of 2022, one of the biggest leaks of all time took place, where over 90 videos and screenshots of early GTA 6 development were posted online. Rockstar said the hack cost it $5 million and thousands of hours of employee time. And then, yes, there was a UK teenager behind it. But this is the thing I've heard, and this is the thing, like, there's kind of two sides to the work from home thing. The one side is, of course, the employee quality of life side of it, work-life balance, where obviously working from home is nice. I agree. It's very nice, especially if you have kids, especially if you live more out of the way, you know, where housing is cheaper and more affordable. There's a lot of benefits for the employee to work from home. The flip side is like the company's perspective. And I've spoken to people who work in like the production side, the producer role, basically, who track productivity in the games industry. And they have pretty much all across the board told me that efficiency is way better in the studio. Some people will say they work better at home, and I'm sure that's true. Other people say they work better in the studio. But the people I've spoken to whose job is to track productivity say working in the studio is just more efficient across the company, which it kind of makes sense in my head, at least the way I work. I tended to be more productive when I was in the office as opposed to like, you know, at home. But the difficulty for them is that, you know, coming out of COVID, they hired a lot of people who took the job specifically because they could work from home. So there were people that were like working at places like Naughty Dog or Rockstar. They took the job and they lived an hour away from the office because they only had to drive into the studio once or twice a week, right? But then this kind of mandate comes down. They have to go in every single day. All of a sudden, that hour commute is real bad. And so people started leaving, and you start to lose talent because now the terms have changed, right? So it's just a tricky spot, but Rockstar has just set the foundation and set the standard that like, no, work from home was a COVID thing. We're back to being in the studio. And for them also, I've never been to a Rockstar studio, but I've been to studios before for events or previews or consultations and stuff. And I've been to studios where like you have to lock your phone in a locker in the lobby. You can't wear your smartwatch. That's got to go in the locker. You walk through a metal detector, take off your belt like you're at the airport, go through, and then you're allowed upstairs to the studio because they're that worried about leaks. Like literally nothing with a camera is allowed on that floor of the building. Like NSA level, like CIA crap. Like, but that's how some of these studios have to handle it to avoid leaks, because otherwise some person who's like frustrated with their boss is like, and then it's on Kiwi Farms. You know, it was crazy. I remember being like kind of surprised. I was like every electronic has to go in there. Really? Okay. I mean, whatever. And I saw the employees were doing it too. I'm sure you reach a level of like security clearance. Maybe you're like one of the executives, or you're a director or something, and you have that trust level. Maybe then you get to bring your cell phone in, but I don't know. It's just crazy the level that some people had to do, or some of the hoops that they had to jump through to prevent leaks. But I think that's probably also a piece of it, is that by being in the studio, locking it down probably to that degree, if not more, it's one of the ways they can protect against leaks and data theft and stuff like that. But yeah, overall, it's just a fascinating tale trying to juggle GTA 6 with everything. This is another guy, Rob Carr. He was an audio designer that worked on LA Noire, Red Dead 1, 2, and GTA 5.
As I'm curious as to knowing, because I work so heavily on GTA 5, I know the engine, I know, because it's mostly the mechanics, I think, is what I'm more interested in. You know, when a great example of this is GTA 4, when they did the DLC, they did the Ballad of Gay Tony and the Lost and the Damned. And at the time, people were like, brilliant, that's really, really good. And
I just want to say, I really appreciate the fact that the audio designer has fantastic audio. I love it.
One mission in particular, the Four Leaf Clover, where all three characters connect in the middle, sort of thing. And retrospectively, looking back now, it's easy to see that that's the blueprint of the 3-player system in GTA 5. You know, Trevor, Michael, and and it's only when you look back at that you're like, oh god, yeah, like it's actually really quite obvious. You know, like that's one mission where 3 different storylines meet in the middle, and for one mission, sort of thing. And that's what I'm interested. That's what I'm more curious about, because you look at GTA 5 and what they did there, and again, like I have a a bit of a behind the scenes thing with GTA 5. You know, I knew some of the things that we was going to do, but never got round to. I know some of the things that we experimented with, and you know, again, can't discuss anything like that, unfortunately. I wish to God I could. But there's elements of that I'm like, I'm really, really quite keen to see what they do, because there will be things in GTA 5 that they will have in GTA 6 that you look at and go, oh, we should have seen that coming. That was, oh man, that's really clever, because they're very good at that, you know, and they're
Super yoga. Hot yoga. Remember the mini games in GTA 5 story where you have to hold the joysticks at the right angle for Michael to do the different poses? Super yoga. That's what they're going to do.
there's things for sure I feel that they did in GTA 5 that they will definitely want to expand on and use as either a core mechanic or a main plot point or something in GTA 6. I'd be incredibly surprised if they don't do anything like that. I'd be very, very surprised.
Yeah, one thing I'm really hoping for, I know this is like Luke the capitalist speaking now, but I hope there's another stock market. I thought that was so fun, being able to buy and trade like stocks, and like clever solutions too. If it's like, hey, I'm gonna short this gas station company, or I'm gonna buy shares of this gas station company, and then I'm gonna blow up all of the competitors' locations in the game world, and then that causes the stock price to go up. Stuff like that was so cool. And if you've never experimented with it in GTA 5, there's like whole guides you can do on how to like where to buy at certain points in the story to be like get millions and millions and millions of dollars. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Yeah, stonks indeed. Crimson Desert's got you. Crimson Desert triggers me though, because it is Crimson Desert's bank system triggers me though, because it's basically just high risk, medium risk, low risk, and then it's just a range of randomly generated percentage values each time, which is not how investments are supposed to work. You know, like it's supposed to be maybe for low risk, it's like 5% upside, minus 1% is the max downside. You know, like you should have incentive to put your money there and for it to not just be a coin flip every single time. But I think it just needs some shifting and tweaking, and that would make me happier. But anyway, continuing.
But again, I'm coming in blind. I've got zero.
But it's how they work in practice. I think if you're doing it wrong, it can work that way. Yeah, absolutely. But like, you know, when I get it, the gold market in Hernand is probably not going to work the same way as like the S&P 500. I get that. I'm just saying I would appreciate if like the low risk was basically a guaranteed return, but just really low risk. Like it can go and lose money, but it's way more likely to make a little, you know. And then I'm fine if there's a big gap between the high risk stuff. You know, it's either going to 100 or 0. I'm fine with that. But in the low risk stuff, I feel like it should lean more towards a safer return as opposed to just another coin flip, you know.
Experience. I know nothing about it, you know, other than the fact that they probably will have, you know, given the time frame of how long it's taken them to get to this stage, they've probably rebuilt the entirety of the Rage engine. That's the only thing I can say with real genuine confidence. I'll be amazed if they didn't, because the architecture of technology has advanced significantly since GTA 5, which again, easy to forget. That was 3 generations ago. That was the last one to be released on 360 and PS3.
Yeah, it looks absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I can only imagine the overhauls they've had. Last little bit, this is from Obe Vermeij, technical director on the GTA trilogy and GTA 4.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I like the characters. I think it seems like an interesting story dynamic between those two, the Jekyll and Hyde thing. I think the setting is great. Like the whole Florida man thing is such a good fit for GTA, because it's a bit violent, it's a bit over the top. It's very over the top. It suits the game very well, and yeah, it looks absolutely amazing. The graphics look stunning. So yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah. Do you think it'll be 30 frames per second, right? There's no way they could run that at 60. You don't think, do you?
I have no idea. If they have to sacrifice the frame rate for stuff on screen, visual fidelity, they will definitely do that. So I would guess it probably will be 30. It's like a curse. You just can't get rid of it. It's everybody saying, "Oh, I'll make it 60 then," but you always get to this point where it's a trade-off between, all right, okay, if you have 10 characters on screen in the street, it just doesn't look full enough. You have I have to have 50, and the price you pay for it is that your frame rate drops a bit. So it would probably be a sensible choice to pick 30, but maybe they have some magic and they can make it 60.
I have mentally prepared myself for it to be 30. I've just mentally accepted, because if it ends up being 60, I'll be like, wow. On like a PS5 Pro, I'll be like, wow, that's cool. But I'm not assuming that. I would not assume that it's going to be 60. I think we'll be damned lucky if it's 60. I just don't think it will be. Fingers crossed though. Fingers crossed. Because everything, like speaking to people who are way smarter than me, of whom there are many, of which there are, I don't know. GTA, Red Dead, like Rockstar games are just historically CPU bound. They just are. Okay. And I think everybody I've seen has mentioned that the base PS5 they would assume is running at 30, right? But the difference is that like if you have the base PS5, we'll say this is the CPU, and then this is I'll say this is the base GPU. Okay. GPU. The PS5 Pro came in and the GPU was like straight up, I don't know what the exact percentage is, but we'll just say it's like, 2x for simplicity's sake. Okay. 2x the GPU power. It can really crank out those frames. It has all the pisser you could possibly need. But the CPU improvement was like, I think they said 10% was the estimated CPU uplift on the PS5 Pro. So if this is what's limiting it to 30 FPS, like, do you really think this is going to magically make 60 possible? It's not twice the power, and it's never been, according to people, again, smarter than me. So they could be wrong, but I'm not ready to doubt them. According to people I've heard and talked to, like the GPU is not the problem when it comes to Rockstar games. Like the GPU can crank out high resolutions and stuff. The problem for Rockstar games is just that they have so much simulation stuff going on. It's just really hard to get it running at higher frame rates. It just is. Like it's possible. It's like there's, as he said, there's always a miracle. They might have a miracle, a trick up their sleeve or something, but it's tough. Who knows? Maybe the delay that they did was because they saw the overwhelming feedback that people really wanted at least a 60 FPS option on the Pro. Maybe the delays have been targeting that and they're doing all sorts of crazy optimization. I don't know, but I'm going into it expecting 30. And if it runs better than that, I will be pleasantly surprised, but I'm not going to assume that. I think that's a recipe for disaster. He took my thing. Red flag, red flag.
16 times the detail.